Chapter 5 Arctic Reindeer. Editor Henny Translations. Wolf Mother ate nearly half of an Arctic rabbit. Even the young ones weigh about 4 to 5 pounds. This gave her stomach, which hadn't had any nutritional supplements for days, some respite at last. Although Wolf Mother really wanted to eat the remaining half of the Arctic rabbit, she restrained herself. In a corner hidden from other wolves, she discreetly set it aside for Su Lin and Wolf Sister. Ow! Wolf Mother let out a low howl, quietly informing Wolf Sister and Su Lin. We are truly full. Su Lin, who had been beside her all along, looked at the half of the Arctic rabbit that Wolf Mother had saved, and he couldn't help but sigh from the bottom of his heart. He hadn't expected Wolf Mother to leave any food uneaten. He also hadn't expected the maternal love and affection among animals to be equally moving. In his previous life, he never wanted for food and clothes, yet he rarely felt much family affection. After all, his parents were always busy with their company's development and rarely paid him much attention. In this life, although he had been reborn as an Arctic wolf, the past month living with the wolf pack made him genuinely feel the care from Wolf Dad and Wolf Mom. Especially just now, the frantic way Wolf Mom and Wolf Dad behaved, thinking that their cubs in the den had encountered trouble, touched Su Lin significantly. Sigh. Thinking of this, Su Lin looked up again at Wolf Mother, who stubbornly left that little bit of food for him, and sighed. But he knew deep down that he had to work hard to evolve. Firstly, to ensure he could live safely, and also to prevent Wolf Dad and Wolf Mom from exhausting themselves for a little food. He wanted to become the true ruler of the entire Arctic, the king at the very top of the Arctic food chain, the Arctic Wolf King. Harboring beautiful aspirations for the future, Su Lin lay down beside Wolf Mother, preparing to sleep and recover his energy so he could go hunting again tomorrow. The next day, just waking up from his sleep, the first thing Su Lin saw as he opened his eyes was that Wolf Mom and Wolf Dad were no longer in the den, and the other adult Arctic wolves of the pack were also gone. Clearly, they had gone out early in search of food. He stretched and, still somewhat sleepy, got up. After getting up, he saw that Wolf Sister, cousin, and the orphaned cub were still fast asleep. The tendency for young mammals to be heavy sleepers wasn't without basis. Su Lin walked out of the den, looking out at the endless white expanse of the Arctic. It was probably around 10 in the morning now, but the sky over the Arctic continent barely showed a glimmer of light. Winters and nights here are longer than anywhere else, and sometimes there is even the phenomenon of polar night. Ow! Su Lin howled long and loud towards the vast, empty Arctic. He knew that he would have to survive in this place for a long time. After his howl, Su Lin felt hungry again. He had now fully adapted to life as an Arctic wolf and to a lifestyle of wolf's down blood. Perhaps because the Arctic wolf's taste buds are different from humans, he found that raw meat actually tasted quite good. Should I go hunt some more Arctic rabbits? But the evolution points gained from eating Arctic rabbits are now minimal. There isn't much motivation. After thinking for a while, Su Lin decided to go out for a walk. If there were no other prey, then he'd just have to hunt a few Arctic rabbits again. In the snow-covered Arctic, he walked step by step. A wolf's sense of smell is very acute. Soon, not far from his start, Su Lin sniffed a scent of blood in the air. Something's afoot. He immediately became fully alert. He crept across the snow, following the direction from which the scent of blood came. Not fast, but very cautious. After all, his strength was still quite weak. Better safe than sorry, being cautious was always right. About 15 minutes of slow progress later, he finally arrived at the source of the heavy scent of blood. The blood scent was very strong. It appeared that a fight had just happened not long ago. If it had been longer, such a strong scent of blood would have attracted many carnivorous animals by now. Su Lin stopped, hiding behind a dense shrub, and looked up into the distance. Soon he made out the source of the bloody smell. It was the carcass of an Arctic reindeer. Species Arctic reindeer, male, deceased. Level 7. Chi blood 1050. Endurance 75. Strength 53. Defense 39. Speed 60. This Arctic reindeer was level 7, even higher than Wolf Father. Normally, it would have taken the whole wolf pack to hunt such a target. But now, a level 7 male Arctic reindeer lay dead just like that. There were barely any signs of tearing on the reindeer's body. Only the neck and limbs oozed fresh red blood. The blood hadn't completely congealed yet, suggesting it had died only minutes ago. What kind of animal could so easily kill a male Arctic reindeer like this? Could it be a polar bear? Hidden behind the shrubs, Su Lin pondered. In the Arctic, the only animal that could so easily take down an Arctic reindeer was the undisputed dominator, the polar bear. But what puzzled him was, he found no traces of any bears having been around here. What's more, if a polar bear had killed it, it wouldn't have left the carcass here. Su Lin was perplexed. After repeatedly confirming that the surrounding environment was very safe, he cautiously approached the Arctic reindeer carcass. The body of the Arctic reindeer was large, weighing at least 200 to 300 pounds. Even the entire wolf pack couldn't finish it in one meal. Upon closer inspection, he soon noticed something odd about the reindeer's body. The antlers and deer whip were gone, as if they had been cut off directly with a knife. The wounds were very neat, definitely not the result of animal tearing. Could it be humans who hunted it? A shock went through Su Lin's heart. The antlers, when not fully calcified, are called velvet antler. Velvet antler is not only found in sika deer and red deer, but also in Arctic reindeer. It's a very valuable medicinal material, and many people would pay a high price for it. As for deer whip, it too is an excellent ingredient for steeping in alcohol. Looking again at the fatal wound on the reindeer's neck, he indeed found a deep puncture wound. From his human point of view, such a wound was definitely caused by a firearm. This reindeer died at the hands of humans. Thus only the most valuable velvet antler and deer whip were missing. Hiss! At this sight, Su Lin took in a sharp breath. It seemed that the Arctic wasn't as safe as he had imagined. He had to constantly face not only the risk of food scarcity, but also these poachers. The sense of crisis instantly rose to his mind. He had to accelerate the pace of evolution. Su Lin didn't hesitate, beginning to lower his head to feed on the carcass of the Arctic reindeer. The reindeer had not been dead for long, and its body was not yet completely stiff. He tore off a piece of meat from the chest, where the fat was less and the meat tender. Ding! The host has consumed Arctic reindeer meat and obtained 3 evolution points. After a single bite, Su Lin's eyes lit up. 3 evolution points. No wonder it was the meat of an Arctic reindeer. Chapter 6: The First Fight. Editor, Henny Translations. Su Lin continued to devour his prey. Ding! Host has gained 2.8 evolution points from consuming Arctic reindeer. Ding! Host has gained 2.6 evolution points from consuming Arctic reindeer. Ding! Host has gained 2.4 evolution points from consuming Arctic reindeer. The carcass of the Arctic reindeer provided Su Lin with a substantial amount of evolution points. After consuming about 5 or 6 jin of Arctic reindeer meat, Su Lin felt almost completely full. He did not continue to eat. After all, this was the icy wilderness, where one could encounter dangers at any time. Eating too much could easily affect mobility. By now, Su Lin had accumulated over 70 evolution points, just less than 10 points shy of being able to evolve again. He dragged the carcass of the Arctic reindeer towards the direction of the cave with great effort. This was a 200-jin Arctic reindeer, and with Su Lin's current small stature, dragging it was quite strenuous. However, he quickly used human intelligence to find two shrubs. With their smooth exteriors placed under the reindeer's body, they greatly reduced the friction. Without human perspective and intelligence, it would have been difficult even for Wolf Father to carry the reindeer carcass back to the cave alone, let alone Su Lin. After all, it was not a short distance. Su Lin got everything set up and slowly made his way towards the cave. And at this moment, a feline animal with gray and white spots all over its body smelled the bloody scent emanating from the reindeer carcass. Following the scent of blood, it found its way here and now lay low in the bushes, eyeing Su Lin. This feline animal, upon confirming that Su Lin was just a lone wolf out for food, opened its mouth, revealing its sharp fanged teeth. It was a lynx. The lynx belongs to the feline family. Among animals of the same size, felines are almost invincible rulers. The lynx before him had a body size not much different from Su Lin, covered in a light gray fur, interspersed with a few uneven dark gray spots. The lynx's appearance was very cat-like, a very large cat. Its ears were pointed, somewhat resembling those of elves from certain comics. This creature was a natural-born hunter. Its limbs were thick and agile, adept at climbing and swimming, with a strong endurance for hunger, able to lie still for days without fearing the cold. It was much like an ancient assassin, motionless until a lethal move was made. And now this lynx lay still in the bushes, waiting for the right moment. It had been hungry for 2 days, its stomach growling, but even with the enticing scent of blood and the feast right before its eyes, it could still suppress the restlessness in its heart. As Su Lin struggled to drag the carcass of the Arctic reindeer, suddenly, he stumbled, exerted too much force and lost balance, falling to the ground. That was the moment. The lynx previously crouching began to accelerate violently, leaping out from the bushes. The mouth revealed its sharply gleaming fanged teeth. Crap, a lynx! Su Lin also saw the creature pouncing towards him. Before his eyes, the lynx's attribute panel appeared. Species lynx female. Level 4. Chi blood 398. Endurance 28. Strength 49. Defense 19. Speed 53. This lynx was level 4. One level higher than Su Lin. Generally speaking, a lynx would not actively provoke a wolf. After all, wolves are larger in size than lynxes and possess stronger endurance and defensive power. If the lynx couldn't make a kill in a short time, it would definitely fall into a disadvantage. They were born hunters, not frontal combatants. But Su Lin was just a young wolf. Furthermore, the lynx's speed had reached an astonishing 53 points, nearly as fast as Su Lin, who had taken the potential potion. The lynx pounced vigorously, its eyes twinkling with the fierce expression of a hunter. It was determined to kill Su Lin with a single blow. Ow! Su Lin howled loudly, suddenly scrabbling up from the ground. But in the end, his movements were still a bit slow. The wolf's body was grazed by the lynx's front paw, the sharp claw instantly tearing through the fur. Su Lin winced in pain, but it also allowed him to put some distance between them. He knew that this would be the first life-and-death struggle he would face since being reborn as a wolf. In the vast and boundless white expanse of the Arctic continent, there was no humanity or morality, no public virtue or etiquette, only the laws of the survival of the fittest. Ever since Su Lin had hunted Arctic rabbits, he understood this most simple and unadorned truth. To live, one must be more ruthless, stronger. So even though Su Lin was still a young wolf, even though the lynx was one level higher than him, he only had a chance to survive by fighting desperately. Luckily, Su Lin's size was almost the same as the lynx, and his speed was even faster. He wasn't without a chance of winning. With that thought, Su Lin also bared his fanged teeth at the lynx. Ow! A roar. The lynx's feline eyes also revealed a fierce light. It pounced toward Su Lin once more. Bang! The lynx's front paw collided with Su Lin's wolf claw. But the lynx's strength was clearly much greater than Su Lin's current power. Su Lin, in pain, could only howl and retreat. He needed to use his speed to wage a war of attrition with the lynx. Su Lin allocated all his extra attribute points entirely to speed. Thus his speed was even faster than the lynx, known for its quickness. A 60 against a 53. The two were moving at high speed, and during their brief contacts, there were ferocious bites and pounces. Rip! The lynx finally found another opportunity, its claw sharp as a blade, once again slashing a gash across Su Lin's wolf body. Blood flowed from Su Lin's body. Su Lin's eyes reddened in the throes of combat. He bit towards the lynx's neck, and although the lynx dodged, it was still bitten on the flank by Su Lin. Luckily, it was only a layer of skin and flesh that was torn off. Although painful, it did not affect the lynx's combat strength. And this pain only made the madness in the lynx's fierce eyes intensify. However, as Su Lin swallowed the lynx's flesh, his eyes suddenly lit up. Ding! The host has consumed lynx flesh, obtaining 2.5 evolution points. Could this work? Su Lin was delighted. Now nearing his advancement to level 4, he still needed 5 evolution points, meaning that if he tore off 2 or 3 more pieces of the lynx's flesh, he could break through to level 4. Once he reached level 4, the lynx would not stand a chance against him. Thus, while he had been waging a war of attrition with the lynx, he suddenly opened his mouth to reveal his fanged teeth, and step by step, he approached the lynx. In his pale blue eyes shone a determined and resolute light. Ow! A long howl. If it wanted a battle, then let there be a fierce battle. The lynx, too, was thoroughly enraged by Su Lin's provocation. It roared angrily, its fur bristling, and with a powerful leap, its sharp front claws gleamed coldly as it lunged toward Su Lin. Chapter 7: Acquiring Talent. Editor, Henny Translations. Su Lin no longer dodged. He engaged in a ferocious pounce and fight with the lynx. This time, both their pounces and bites were extremely fierce. Logically speaking, as a solitary animal, the lynx would not fight so desperately. But the agony of having its flesh torn by Su Lin's biting and the blatant provocation had completely enraged it. Blood was flying everywhere. At that moment, Su Lin endured 2 strikes from the lynx's front claws and bit off another chunk of its flesh. Even with fur still attached, he didn't care and directly swallowed it into his stomach. Ding! The host has consumed lynx meat and obtained 2.4 evolution points. Consuming the meat of carnivorous animals brought a much smaller reduction in gained evolution points. With just 2 more bites, Su Lin would be able to level up. Therefore, his fight with the lynx became even more brutal. As long as the lynx's sharp claws and teeth weren't hitting his vital spots, Su Lin ignored them. He fought the lynx at close quarters, looking only for the right opportunity to take another bite. Bang! The lynx's front claw struck hard on Su Lin's back again, creating a wound. But Su Lin's eyes lit up as he bit off another layer of flesh from the muscle of the lynx's front paw. Ding! The host has consumed lynx meat and obtained 2.3 evolution points. Having its front paw wounded, the lynx's combat strength was obviously affected. In its fierce feline eyes, a hint of reluctance to continue fighting finally arose. Instinct was telling it that if the fight dragged on, even if it won, it would likely be badly injured. And for a solitary animal like it, a severe injury was akin to death. Roar! The lynx roared angrily, attempting to break free from combat. But Su Lin didn't give it the chance, clinging to it with a speed even faster than the lynx, refusing to let go. He pounced onto the lynx's back and bit off another chunk of flesh, swallowing it into his stomach. Ding! The host has consumed lynx meat and obtained 2.2 evolution points. After swallowing this chunk of meat, Su Lin's strength surged rapidly. The power of evolution coursed through every part of his body. Every cell in his wolf body greedily absorbed the evolving strength. Ding! Congratulations to the host for leveling up to level 4. Name Su Lin. Species Arctic Wolf. Level 4. Level up requires 160 evolution points. Chi blood 400. Endurance 40. Strength 40. Defense 40. Speed 70. Evolution points 2. Additional attribute points 10. Su Lin allocated the additional attribute points to the speed category once again. His speed attribute immediately became 80. Now, feeling the surge of power in his wolf body, Su Lin couldn't help but let out a long howl. The lynx beneath him managed to roll away, throwing off Su Lin, and began to sprint away at a rapid pace. But what was once considered fast for the lynx now seemed slow in Su Lin's eyes. His blue wolf eyes watched the fleeing lynx, emanating a cold intent to kill. Since this lynx decided to compete for food, it had to be ready to die here. Su Lin's speed was now very fast. When he dashed, he looked like a white shadow. In just a very short time, he caught up to the lynx. A speed of 80 combined with a strength of 40 made his pounce absolutely formidable. The lynx looked back once, and for the first time showed fear in its eyes, attempting to dodge. But it was too late. The formidable strength directly shattered the lynx's spine with a crushing blow. The lynx was suddenly sent tumbling for several meters. Blood also streamed from the corners of its mouth, and both its eyes were bloodshot from the shock. It was clear it wouldn't survive. Su Lin didn't torture it, stepping forward to deliver another fierce claw to the lynx's head, shattering its last bit of consciousness. The first life-and-death struggle finally came to a perfect end. Su Lin's wounds had already completely healed during the recent evolution. And after the lynx took its last breath, several pale gray notification messages suddenly popped up in front of Su Lin. Overcoming the strong while being weak. Breakthrough in the midst of battle. Struggle through a bloody fight. Ultimate victory. Target is dead. Combat rating, S. Combat rating for this battle, S. Earned hunting talent D level. Note, messages will not be prompted if the combat rating is below S. What's this? Su Lin was momentarily stunned when he saw the messages that floated up. He hadn't expected to gain something from a fight to the death. However, it seemed that the difficulty of gaining these rewards was not small. Combat rating S. It looked like only such a brutal struggle could achieve this. He shook his head and didn't dwell on it further. Instead, he checked the so-called talent. Hunting D-level upgradable active talent. When activated, can increase its own movement speed by 50%, increase attack power by 50%, and hides one's aura more effectively. Duration 60 seconds. Cooldown period 24 hours. Seeing this talent, Su Lin's eyes lit up. The hunting talent was quite a significant boost to his strength. In the icy and snowy lands of the Arctic continent, the increase in strength brought not only confidence, but also the ability to secure food. However, Su Lin didn't waste too much time and closed the attributes page after a short glance. After all, there were the carcasses of an Arctic reindeer and the lynx that he needed to drag back to the cave. Otherwise, if he delayed too long, other hunters might be attracted. Su Lin first hid the lynx's carcass in the concealed brush, and he dragged the Arctic reindeer's carcass back to the cave first. Only then did he come out of the cave again to bring back the lynx's carcass. When he dropped the two carcasses in front of the little ones, their blue wolf eyes looked at Su Lin as if they were looking at Wolf Father. No, they even looked at him with more reverence and awe than they did at Wolf Father. Su Lin set aside the lynx's carcass, not letting the litter of wolf cubs feed on it. After all, the lynx's meat could provide Su Lin with quite a few evolution points. As for the Arctic reindeer, he pushed it with his paw, signaling wolf sister and cousin to freely eat. In the wolf pack, the hierarchy was clear. By indicating that wolf sister and cousin should eat first, Su Lin was also setting a rule among these four cubs, so as to prevent the likes of Lonely Wolf from rudely scrambling for food. Among the four cubs, Cousin and Lonely Wolf were currently the strongest. Both Cousin and Lonely Wolf had level 2 attributes. Besides them, there was another cub from a different wolfess in the pack, whose fur was mixed with gray and white. This little wolf was also 3 months old and had reached level 1. Of course, the weakest was the closest, Wolf Sister, a pitiable level 0. But since Wolf Sister was only just over a month old, this level was normal. After all, not every wolf could grow as rapidly as Su Lin. Wolf Sister's little wolf teeth hadn't fully developed yet, often unable to bite and eat food that was too tough. So Su Lin, currently resting atop a rock upon seeing this, went over and tore off a few pieces of easily digestible flesh from the belly of the Arctic reindeer, throwing them in front of Wolf Sister. Ugh. Wolf Sister's tender howls expressed her joy and dependence towards Su Lin. Chapter 8: The Blizzard Strikes. Editor, Henny Translations. Next, after Wolf Sister and cousin had eaten their fill, Su Lin let the little lone wolf and another young wolf eat. The little lone wolf was already starving and started to devour the carcass of the reindeer as soon as it reached it. Despite also being just a young wolf, its eating speed was not slow. Su Lin didn't mind. He found the rock he used to lie behind and laid down to sleep. Now that the cave was rich with food, even if Wolf Dad and Wolf Mom came back, they would be able to have a good feast too. After the desperate fight with the lynx, Su Lin was also a bit tired today. And Wolf Sister, after eating her fill, came back to Su Lin's side. She snuggled up close to him and started to sleep. In the Arctic, the days are very brief. It was evening in a blink of an eye. After waking up, Su Lin stretched and noticed Wolf Dad and Wolf Mom still hadn't returned. As for the carcass of the reindeer, after the little lone wolf and the others had finished eating, they had conscientiously moved it deep into the cave, to prevent other hunters from following the scent of blood to the cave. Su Lin saw that the little lone wolf, which usually only knew to recklessly demand food and drink, could do this, and silently gave it a good score in his heart. He got up and walked toward the cave entrance. Just reaching the entrance, he felt a gust of cold wind hit him in the face. Even as a wolf, with his thick fur, Su Lin could feel the cold, which showed just how low the temperatures on the Arctic continent could be. At this moment, he looked out into the distance. He noticed that the cold wind was getting stronger and was even whipping up the perennial ice and snow from the ground. Could it be that a blizzard was coming? A sense of heaviness settled in Su Lin's heart. The absence of Wolf Dad and Wolf Mom might be related to this. After all, the wolf pack had 8 adult Arctic wolves in total, and they had all departed from their den. On the Arctic continent, as long as they didn't actively provoke dominance like the polar bear or the grizzly bear, there were hardly any hunters that could pose a threat to them. To the likes of the lynx that had fought desperately with him, encountering a real, organized Arctic wolf pack, it wouldn't dare to make a move, let alone provoke them. It could only tuck its tail and sneak away. I guess Wolf Dad and the others have already noticed the blizzard and might be hiding somewhere. Su Lin did not think negatively. Wolf Dad and Wolf Mom were experienced hunters and would not do anything too dangerous. At this moment, as Su Lin observed the worsening storm outside, he was not too worried. Because today's haul was not small. The body of this Arctic reindeer, weighing nearly 200 pounds, was enough to last for several days. Near the cave, Su Lin made a patrol. After confirming there was no danger, he did not linger for long and quickly returned. The weather outside was harshly cold, and it consumed too much physical strength. After coming back, he found that Wolf's sister was still sleeping in the cave. The little lone wolf and the little wolf with gray-white fur were also sound asleep in a corner. The little lone wolf had rested its head on the body of the gray-white little wolf, making itself quite comfortable. Quite the enjoyer. Seeing this scene, Su Lin couldn't help but smile to himself. Right now, only Cousin was awake, keeping watch over the cave. It was clear that Cousin, as the former boss of the few cubs, had put in a lot of hard work. Su Lin let out a low howl to signal it was his turn to keep watch. Ow! Cousin also communicated briefly with Su Lin by howling, informing him of some watch duties before going to sleep. Cousin no longer saw Su Lin as the little wolf brother from before. Instead, she had started to see Su Lin as a lead wolf, like Wolf Dad. After all, Su Lin had started hunting and was feeding them a few. In the natural world, the laws are often plain and unadorned. Since Su Lin went out to hunt and brought back food, he was naturally seen as their leader. In Cousin's mind, the wolf clan had always revered the strong. Now, Su Lin had become the undisputed leader among the few wolf cubs. The night passed without incident. Having slept the previous afternoon, Su Lin didn't feel tired through the night. While on guard, he noticed the snowstorm outside the cave growing fiercer. Many animals that survived in the Arctic started to seek shelter from the sudden blizzard. An Arctic tern, perhaps because of the severe snowstorm or maybe because it was lost, actually flew to the mouth of the wolf pack's cave. It even tried to fly into the cave to escape the snowstorm. On alert, Su Lin's senses sharpened. And then, using his super-fast speed, he leaped up, tracing a graceful white line in the air. With one swipe, he knocked down the Arctic tern. The Arctic tern was quite beautiful, with a black head, white back and red-tipped bill. It is said that the Arctic tern set a world record once. It is the only animal in the world that migrates the longest distance. This bird travels about 40,000 kilometers every year, flying all the way from the Arctic to the Antarctic. The Arctic tern has even been listed as one of the world's oldest existing bird species. If Su Lin had still been human, upon encountering such a bird, he would definitely have studied it closely. After all, as a student of archaeology, he was naturally very interested in one of the oldest living bird species. But now, after Su Lin swatted down the Arctic tern, he hardly glanced at it, and merely plucked the feathers off roughly before eating it. Now, as the lead wolf, he had no sentimentality to promote the spirit of protecting bird species. Ding, host has eaten an Arctic tern, obtained 1.5 evolution points. Ding, host has eaten an Arctic tern, obtained 1.3 evolution points. A small Arctic tern provided Su Lin with less than 3 evolution points. It was an unexpected bonus for standing guard through the night. After Su Lin yawned, daybreak was faintly visible. Cousin Wolf's sister, the lonely little wolf, and gray-white little wolf all woke up. They started play-fighting out of boredom. Of course, after Su Lin's discipline, the lonely little wolf no longer dared to bully Wolf's sister. It could only tussle with gray-white little wolf. Poor gray-white little wolf, used as the lonely little wolf's pillow at night, now turned into a punching bag by day. And Wolf's sister played along with cousin. Occasionally, she would come over to Su Lin, playing with her brother who was quite obviously much bigger than her for a while. But Su Lin just lay there on the rock, lazily, barely even bothering to open his eyes. He was almost indifferent to Wolf's sister's playful antics. After all, as a human, he really couldn't stir up interest in these juvenile and amusing antics among the Wolf clan cubs. It wasn't long before Su Lin felt hungry. He began to call the cubs to eat. He still did not eat the carcass of the Arctic reindeer, even though the reindeer's meat tasted somewhat better. Eating the lynx, however, could provide him with quite a few evolution points. Ding, host has eaten a lynx, obtained 2 evolution points. Ding, host has eaten a lynx, obtained 1.8 evolution points. Ding, host has eaten a lynx, obtained 1.6 evolution points.